Hey, good morning, evening, afternoon, all you XRs. Welcome to Sajady. Sajadi's Mas on Sunday, uh, and Sajady here. There's so many people that are, tuning in to our channel, which is really great. We've grown quite a bit last couple of weeks, so thank you for that. So please keep subscribing. Please tell us to your friends, post us on social media and all that to really help the consciousness awaken. And this is what today's topic is really going to be about, guys. Some of the pressing questions, according to say YouTube, some of the top level questions that people are searching for. So obviously there's a ton, but this genre of questions is really interesting, and they all have a similar scenario or a similar algorithm to it. Okay, and that's why I picked these questions. Obviously, there's more questions out there in the world that we can talk about, but these questions are highly important in today's world. Okay, and this content or this program or this segment of Moss on Sunday is where I answer the most pressing questions. So if you have any pressing questions, not your personal questions, but the world questions, right? Uh, Comment in or send them to customers@mossajadi.com. And if we think your question is good enough, I'll answer it online for you. Okay. So the first half, obviously, is always about answering life explained. Basically, this segment of Moss on Sunday is life explained, where I explain um, from a first principle level, first principle, say, definition on why things happen the way they do. Okay, then then later on, I'll be scanning some of you. Okay, and I'll explain what scanning means. Basically, it means that I get to scan you, analyze your life, and pinpoint exactly what's going on with your life, and then take steps to help you transform your life in a very different way. Nothing to do with psychology or anything else, but about frequencies. It's about changing your multidimensional self. It's really one of the fastest ways, or the fastest way, and it's the most advanced technological method to transform your life. It goes far beyond psychology or anything else that's out there. Okay. And that's why there's more and more individuals coming in because people are finding or wanting the truth. So, Life Explained today in today's program is about finding truth. And so, if you read or if you look at the content on what we're going to be talking about, and I'll go through them, I'll tell you why they're very similar or what similar thread is in all these questions. So one, and these are top level, say, YouTube videos. Okay, this is from why this question is why the world is falling apart. So it's a new Peter Zeihan 2022 interview, and then deep restoration and rejuvenation, scalar energy field, the Tesla coil, and you can look at these videos if you want. Just copy it from the preview, from the description of this page, and just throw it into YouTube, and that video will come up. The hidden law of vibration, they call it the real magic of ancient Egypt. The return of Hero, Shango, and Christ, and the divine masculine in 2023. You need to escape the matrix in 2023. How sexual energy can elevate or destroy your consciousness, and then David Muhammad entering the age of Matt, hidden truth. So I'm going to go explain what the natural thread is. Natural thread, basically, on all those questions is that people, one, the bigger this year basically is about finding truth, and I predicted that years ago that people are going to be searching for truth. So more and more truth are going to be coming out. But as more and more truth come out, you'll start to see that a lot of individuals will go backwards into the truth that they thought was true. So it's like, say, for example, a religion, whatever religion it might be, Christianity, Muslim, there's so many religions out there, right? But the major three: Christianity, Judaism, Muslim, Islam. They'll go one day. Our our Savior will come back to life, and this is basically what's happening here. Obviously, there's other religions like Hero or Horus. He was an Egyptian deity that's coming out, entering the age of Maat. Maat was where is that? Maat was Maat was the goddess of harmony, justice, and truth, represented as a young woman. So again, there's one say segment that says, hey, it's the age of masculinity, and then there's other segments that say, hey, it's the age of women, young women, and so on like that coming out. So again, what happens and what's happening in today's world is well, just that. All those things that you thought was true, okay, whether they were true or not, or whether they are true or not, will resurface themselves. Okay, people will go back to their old standards. People will say that, and I'll talk about that. Jesus is going to come back, right? Because that is a prophecy. There's also in Islam somebody, it's called something. It's basically it means Messiah. The Messiah is coming back, and it's their form of Messiah or their form of Jesus. So overall, like I said, that everything that we've had of the past will show up, and the reason why, whether they're true or not, the reason why, and they're not true at all. Okay, and I'll explain why. None of that stuff is true. And again, that's going to hurt a lot of people, and some of you turn this channel off. It's like, shit, what the hell? Or some of you might be intrigued by it, but I'll give you the science or the first principle reason why I say none of that stuff is true. Okay. Um, so let's take a deep breath in. We'll make it an experiential experience. This is cute. Hi, Moss. I'm 15 years old. I have been seeing spirits in my room and in my house. So we'll take care of that, buddy. We'll read that. We'll take care of that after the talk here. So we've got a lot of questions. Yeah, we've got a lot of questions. So remind me, Demi, just to redo that one. Okay. So we've got a lot of questions and we want to go through it. But again, overall, basically, overall, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that when the age of truth comes out, because this is the age of truth. Right? I talked about this years ago. The age of truth is coming out. Everything will fall apart. Everything that is not true will fall apart. But what happens is that people will hold on to the truth. People will hold on to their old truths, which would not be true, because if it was true, again, it would surface itself. Okay. All right. So let's jump into some of these questions, and we'll see what real truth is. The first one is why the world is falling apart. Kind of stepped into that. Peter Zahn, or Zeihan, the 2022 interview, he has some different, say, ideas or concepts of what the world is falling apart. But in a nutshell, and I'm only going to take, so Demi, if you can just give me like 5 minutes for each question, I think we'll stay on track here. All right, buddy. So why the world is falling apart? It's a new Peter Zeihan 2022 interview. Again, it's a fantastic. He's got a very different perception on why the world is falling apart. XI, exponential intelligence, has a very, very different perception on why the world is falling apart, and it's based on first principle. First principle definitions. First principle definitions is that the reason that you give or the solution that you give has really no exceptions to the rule. For example, a lot of belief systems or a lot of, say, what people talk about, right? It's X happens because of Y, but then Y has so many variables, that aren't, say, mentioned, or so many loopholes, or so many exceptions to the rule. Then obviously that's not the top level rule, right? Nature, for example, nature works like gravity, for example, works the same way each and every time with everybody. There is no exception to anybody. There's no exceptions because you're wealthy or you're healthy or anything. Gravity, electromagnetism, the laws of nature, for example, the laws of what this reality dictates, how it should work, works on everybody without prejudice or anything like that. Right? That's the truth. That's the level of truth that we have to get to. It doesn't care about the wealth, your health, or anything like that. It'll affect you because it's ordained or it is directed by your highest level of being that you are. Okay, that's why again those laws, again laws of nature, for example, work on everybody the same way. Okay, so that's the level of truth that we're trying to get to, and that's the level of truth that XI is. Right. So again, back to why is the world falling apart? You can listen to Peter. He's got some, good content and so on like that. But the real reason why the world is falling apart because time and space is transforming itself. Time and space is transforming into a higher version of itself. Okay, this reality and how it's rendered or how it's created, I call it a consciousness. A consciousness is simply, say, a global setting on how your environment works. Say the Mac that I'm using right now has a global setting or an operating system, right? You have to adhere to the standards or the principles and properties of the operating system for you to say operate an application or use the Mac system. Okay, consciousness is very similar to that. Consciousness in the XI definition and my definition is an operating system. You have to adhere to the rules of your environment, otherwise your environment will not work for you. It will not work with you. It'll work against you, no matter what you believe in or no matter what you think you are or who you are or how important you are. That's really the basis. So consciousness in this reality is always expanding and it's always evolving to a higher version of itself because that's what this reality is about. If you look back in the day, for example, if you look back in the day, consciousness was pretty heavy. There's a lot of logistics and so on over time, and there's a lot of scientific evidence as far as, say, the properties of this reality changing, electromagnetism, time expanding, or time formatting. It's our 24 hours, for example, is not exactly 24 hours what it was 100 years ago. It's more like it's more like 26 or 27 or 28 hours versus what we did 100 or 1,000 years ago. Not 100 years ago, but 1,000 years ago. So overall, the reason why the world is falling apart is because we're creating, say, the same density, okay, the same environment and the same experience of this reality with less, say, time and space molecules. And I know that gets way out there, but this is where consciousness awakens. This is where efficiencies come. Okay. And just to explain it, and I just want to take a little bit more time, Demi, just to explain it a little deeper for you. Okay. And the XIers will understand that. But but the reason why, okay, is that uh, um, is that if you look at say history, okay, and this is how consciousness evolves. If you look at history, what we used to do back in the day made sense. Slavery made sense. Slavery made sense back in the day. It was common sense. A lot of things. Treating women the way they did back in the day, or treating kids the way they did back in the day, or all those things, and the level of technology, right? That was back in the day compared to today. So where did that evolution come from? It didn't come from brilliant scientists or anything like that. Okay. In fact, brilliant scientists that say that their concept and their ideas of like technologies and so on is in the ethers, hence in the consciousness. They are just tuned in to the same frequency as that technology, and they bring that technology into, say, real form. Okay. So the advancement of saying, hey, you know what, slavery isn't right. It's not like we passed laws to abolish slavery or anything like that. That's an after effect. Okay. The consciousness dictates that slavery isn't right. The consciousness dictates that prejudice isn't right. And then we move towards a society that then we pass laws and so on like that. So that's very, very important to understand. Okay, it's not the other way around. It's not like again, some high level individuals or people who control the world go, you know what? Hey, slavery is wrong. Let's change the laws. It doesn't work that way. Consciousness changes and adapts. Unfortunately, why the world is falling apart, okay, is that what happens is that consciousness is evolving, okay, like technology. You can see technology is evolving. More and more people are awakening, say, to the truth, what's really happening, what's really important to them, not a slave nation. So that's why you're seeing the Great Divide. By the way, I am doing a Great Divide part two, Rebirth. It's actually tonight, January 8th. So if you missed part one, you can listen to it on a recording. There's still time to join in and then listen to part two, which is again separating yourself from the old. Okay. So as the world falls apart, basically the old standards, the old concepts, prejudice, the way we run the world, technologies that destroy us, and all those things that we enslave ourselves with, those are falling apart. Okay, they're moving away, so we can become more efficient with what's happening, or we can align ourselves with, say, the universal truth. So in this scenario, and I've again predicted this quite a time, quite a while back, your truth of what you think is true will start to fall apart. Whether you hold on to it, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. Truth will come through. Your lies that you live, including your aging, your diseases, and all those things will fall apart for you. Okay. So that's why the world is falling apart. It's a lot like you. How many of you went through detox when you went through XI, right? All your shit that you held on to, genetic patterns and all that stuff, they all fell apart, right? They all fell away. So that's the underlying reason, and it's way beyond, say, human control. That's the important thing that I want to get to. So it's a really great opportunity for those to awaken and feel free. This is the time that most individuals are, say, awaiting. Okay. The next question on life. What now? Okay. Thanks. Is that better? All right. So the next topic on Life Explained is deep restoration and rejuvenation. So people are again, they're going back to, say, something like the Tesla coil. Tesla coil was invented, whenever Tesla was around back in the 50s or 60s or whenever he was around, right? So now, again, what I was saying in the past, and this is what's happening, a lot of old technologies will come back out again. Okay. Why is that? Because people, when things start to, say, redefine themselves, when things start to become unstable because it's a new paradigm, the key trend for this whole, say, topic or talk on this Moss on Sunday is that there is a brand new paradigm coming into form. Okay, not an old paradigm, but as what happens when something becomes when you're in a new situation, right? You will tend, as humans, as human behavior, what you'll do is, like, you'll tend to go back into, say, something that's more comforting for you. So as the world, say, pulls you into, say, a new reality or a new consciousness that you can't help, people will hold on to their old patterns and their old self. So a lot of old technologies that might have or might have not worked will show through again. A lot of old patterns, nostalgia will come back to life, and so on like that. And that's why I chose this question. It's not a question, but what people are searching for. Again, on YouTube, people are searching for old methods. People want to go back to simpler times. People want to do what they did back 100 years ago. You can't do that because time and space is going forward. There's big this one, like for Sophia, do you see any big earth changes happening? Absolutely. This isn't just about human patterns or anything like that, guys. This is a universal change that's happening. And I've talked about this, on my podcast, Exponential Intelligence. I talk about it on Moss on Sundays. I talk about it on, say, on private events that we do. Okay. So you can take a look at the deeper reasons. I talk about it on the 18 days, 18-day hyper meditations where you can transform your life, literally in 18 days with the advanced technology. based on quantum neurobiology. But yes, the world is changing. So as the world changes, the earth changes and so on like that, people are going to be afraid. When people are afraid, they'll go back to their old patterns. You'll see a lot of nostalgia. You'll actually see a lot of, say, have you guys ever seen like Blonde? I think, which is a Marilyn Monroe movie. You know, we saw, uh, was it Queen, right? The actors, and they just felt like the guy from Queen. I forgot his name. Comment in what his name is. Or if you watched Marilyn Monroe, right? She felt, and the actress who played Marilyn Monroe was, she's like, she was really afraid. It's like, oh my God, I felt like Marilyn Monroe in me or around me when I was doing the scenes. Okay. Well, that's not a coincidence, by the way. A lot of, say, those dead individuals, a lot of, and the science behind it, it's not those, Freddie Mercury, absolutely, right? The guy felt like Freddie Mercury. Why did they feel like Freddie Mercury? Why did they feel like Marilyn Monroe, right? Yeah, and I mean Malik, right? Who was Freddie Mercury? How did he change? The Elvis movie, that's another one, right? How did that guy personify Elvis? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. A lot of the old frequencies, dead or alive, will come back to life to show or come back and then again push away or remove, say, the lies from that pattern. So what that means is that there's different ways you can look at it. Some people will go that, say, Freddie Mercury will step into, say, Rami Malek, okay, and that's what they do. They literally, but that's not really the truth, okay. But basically, what Freddie Mercury or Rami is doing is tapping into the same consciousness that created Freddie Mercury, okay, and then Rami will morph into Freddie Mercury, almost identical. Even if he looks a little different, he'll feel and act and sing just like Freddie Mercury. The same way with Elvis, the same way with Marilyn Monroe, the same way with this famous soccer player. I forgot what his name was, but he was a return of a famous soccer player back in the day. Uh, Yes. So what Demi was asking was is like, so when you get, say, pulled in, okay, and this is what you're going to find out, and this is and it's not just dead people coming back. This is where, say, you have a musician, right, a great musician or a great artist or a great talent, right, whatever it might be, actors or singers or anything like that. They will, say, instill the voice or the demeanor of an individual, whether it is a real, say, spirit that was here in living form, like Freddie Mercury, or if it's an entity or a presence that, say, can't come into human form, but it will, say, control a human form. And this is where a lot of those, unfortunately, a lot of those actors or singers, if you notice them off stage compared to on stage, they're two very different people, right? You'll see more and more of that come to life. You'll see it's like, holy shit, when they're on stage, they're very, very different. Why are they in personal life? Those people who know those people, right? Personal friends of them, there's two different personalities. This is the reason why. You'll see more and more of that as nostalgia comes back or as consciousness, say, integrates with one another. It's kind of crazy shit, but yep, that's what'll happen. Some of you will get, say, possessed, if you want to call it possessed, but literally you're just integrating with that consciousness. Say that you look a lot like Aunt Susie and you have the same beautiful green eyes as Aunt Susie. Okay. Aunt Susie's long gone. She's dead. But in a very short time, some of you who look identical to somebody from your past, for example, you'll start acting, you'll start feeling very different. You'll start feeling like Aunt Susie in this example. That's crazy, crazy shit. But mark my words, guys, you will see many people transform or change their personalities because of this reason. People who go through hospitals, and you can look this up, by the way. Okay, there will be more and more cases like that, unexplained, say, personality changes, and they've already documented it. It's nothing. It's nothing new, by the way. It's not something that's way out there woo-woo. Just science or the medical community refuses to talk about it. Okay, let's take a deep breath in again. So what that means is that you go through surgery. You're not quite, say, awakened to define who you are in space time. Another consciousness, say somebody that had died from whatever in that hospital, is more awakened than your consciousness. Boom. You get pulled out of your consciousness, you tap in, or you get plugged in to that consciousness of that dead person. And then in a short time, it takes about a month and a half, 2 months, what happens? You have a spouse that went through surgery, and after a while, it's like, shit, that's not my spouse. Who is that? It's like somebody took over them because they did. They actually did. Comment in on some of you who actually has had that happen to you. Okay. How long will they have that Aunt Susie's personality? Well, and this is Hannah Bennett's question. How long will they have Aunt Susie? As long as they start, as forever, it could be forever, but when they start to realize that, wait a second, Aunt Susie, I just plugged into Aunt Susie. Okay. I just plugged into Aunt Susie's, say, consciousness. Okay. There is a consciousness defined out there that says Aunt Susie, because that says Aunt Susie. There's another consciousness that is you. Okay. Say Hannah, for example. Basically, you get unplugged from your consciousness that dictates who you are, okay, your simulation of yourself, and you get plugged into Aunt Susie because they're at a higher level. So, so that's what's going to be happening in the future for you. You'll see more and more people's personalities change, by the way, and this is the underlying reason why. All right. So again, kind of crazy shit, right? But there's going to be some crazy ass diseases coming up as well, by the way. Um, and anesthesia drugs are to blame? Absolutely, because this is from Marithia Rose. Yes, anesthesia, and it's not a brain issue, by the way. What happens is that the brain, the anesthesia works on your brain, okay, and it messes up which consciousness that you should be plugged into. So this is very different than the spirits haunting you and possessing you and all that stuff that is woo woo. It's not. This is explains the science on how people get possessed. Um, this one, Sophia, my husband is no longer my husband. I believe this has happened to him because of some addictions. Yep, when you're in addictions, what's with blood transfers, the same thing. This. Many of you will see this, especially with organ transplants, right? You've heard cases like this. Somebody gets a kidney from I don't know some suicidal, and this is a real client, some suicidal teenage girl, and she's an older woman, and then they start having dreams of suicide and abuse patterns and so on like that. How many of you have, or know of somebody like that? They got an organ transplant and then they started having dreams and so on like that, right? um, this is what goes on, guys, and more of this stuff that is can't be explained by your normal science because they can't go there. Okay? You have to go beyond this reality to understand what it is, and so that's why you come here to XI, become exponentially intelligent. So a lot of things are going to come through. Many of you, this one, your mother passes away, for example. Your mother passes away, and then you start morphing into your mom. How many of you took care of your mom or your parents? You took care of your mom or your dad, right? As they were dying, right? Or when they were sick, especially when you were young. So when you were really young or as you aged, again, or as they got older, how many of you who had something like that happen, eventually you got their same diseases, okay? Or you started acting like them. It's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. There's nothing different. My friend had 3 transplants. This is Colleen Lilly. Well, you'd have to ask why your friend, first of all, has to have, say, parts removed or parts dying in them. Okay, and we can talk about that. By the way, this one, Tina BTC. My son is very angry and he's only 5 after 2 years of intense medical treatment. He's very angry because that's a tool that he uses to push away what I just talked about. He's realizing that he's getting really possessed or basically taking over, being taken over by some other frequencies that he does not like. Okay. And it feels like there's an older gentleman type frequency that's starting to push into him. So you can ask, and please do. It's Tina B2C. Uh, my son is very angry and he's only 5 after 2 years of intense medical treatment. Ask him. Ask him if there's another presence that's always feels like they're pushing into him. Okay. And then comment back if you can. All right. All right. Move on to oh, so this deep, and I know I went off the subject, but I just wanted to give you some predictions on that. Deep restoration and rejuvenation, scalar energy. Again, Tesla coil. That was from a long time ago. Okay. There's different ways for you to rejuvenate, and it goes way beyond, say, scalar energy. Scalar energy is a physical form. Okay. What you really need to do is go beyond. You need to go to the origin of frequencies, and that's what XI does. Any other frequency work, you're going to hear a lot about frequencies. Okay. Frequencies are the in thing. It's the fad. There's billionaires, like Peter Diamante, Tony Robbins, they're all into frequencies now and so on. And although we've been in frequencies, for decades and so on, but they're getting on the bandwagon and they're newborns. They're babies on, say, when it comes to frequencies, because they talk about, again, physical frequencies, like scalar energy and so on like that. You want to get into exponential intelligent frequencies, XI frequencies. Again, XI frequencies aren't really frequencies. They're the origin or your master blueprint on how frequencies are generated. So we go to the top level. Frequencies is say that you have a frequency of, say, negativity in your life, right? That is already created for you, and then you put a muffler on or something else to change that frequency into something that you prefer. So that's not really fixing the problem. Okay, so a lot of those old technologies will come out again to show them that what was inaccurate about them. So what XI does, by the way, is, again, changes you at the core level of who you are, the original level, the master blueprint, or the origin of your frequencies, by the way. So look out for that. There's going to be some cool products that I've got in mind that we're going to bring out that, again, resets you at your origin, not afterwards. Okay. So, the hidden law of vibration, again, it's about frequencies. They call it the real magic of ancient Europe, ancient Egypt. Same thing. People are going back to the pattern. Yes, the Egyptians had unbelievable knowledge on frequencies and so on like that. They understood it. But those technologies or that knowledge is still, say, good today, but with exponential intelligence and then what the new frequencies are coming out, okay, they're very, very different. So I'm not saying, ancient Egypt is wrong or anything like that, but what's happening is, again, we're getting back into, say, some of the truths that, say, existed in the past. Okay, so this is so we're getting into the laws of vibration. So you're going to hear a lot about the laws of vibration. I like that. Dana, hit the like button, please. Thank you so much. So the laws of vibration, the laws of frequencies, the laws of all those things, again, from the past. The key is that you can learn a lot from the past, which is totally fine. Okay. It's in some of the things in the past are a lot better than what's happening today for you to, help yourself out. But the important thing is that there's new information or new technology called XI, okay, and other frequencies that will, say, even say, trump or again, these are, say, the advanced frequency knowledge or the intelligence. So if you're into frequencies, tune into the XI podcasts, tune into Moss on Sunday. All right, because these are the new frequencies for the new world. These types of frequencies, by the way, have never been introduced, have never been part of the world, have never been, say, part of history. And that leads us to, say, some of these other questions here. The return of hero. Well, I'll put that. Um, I'll put that. Yeah. Well, I'll just cover it now. The return of hero, Shangu, Christ. So Horus or Hero, he was an Egyptian deity, right? Talked about that. He's Shangu was a major deity of the religion of the Yoruba tribe of southwestern Nigeria. So again, as people start to, as the world starts to change, they'll start to go back. They'll start to go back to their old religious patterns. They'll start to go back to, Matt. They'll start to go back to again, hero or Shangu or Christ even. Again, and I know I'm gonna push a lot of people off maybe, or go, well, shit, Christ said he was gonna come back through, right? Second coming of Christ. Okay, so let me explain what all that is, because again, there's thousands and thousands of religions that are coming out, that no, that aren't coming out, that have been around in the world, and each one will say that their savior of the past will come forward again and revisit. That's not correct. Okay. Because again, it's an advancement in technology. It's an advancement in, say, the universal consciousness. So, whatever, even Christ, we'll just talk about Christ because that's the most sensitive and might as well just jump in. Christ will not be coming back, guys. Okay. He won't. But what'll happen, and this is what he predicted, by the way, he said that there is far greater people will do far greater things than what I can do. Okay. And that's his comments. That's his words. That's even in the Bible. Okay. So what does that mean? It's the coming of a consciousness. Exactly. So blue waters, you got it right. It's the coming of a consciousness of his level. Okay. And I explained that briefly on the 18-day hyper meditations, by the way, of how that works. So what happened was, again, Christ, Jesus Christ, the man, not the religion or anything to do with that. Okay. He went into a higher level consciousness, and he went into a higher level consciousness, and he existed in from that consciousness in the physical form here. Okay. So now what's happened is that it's taken 2022 years, about, okay, roughly, for that consciousness that he tapped into a couple thousand years ago. Okay. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you. So 2,000 years ago, he tapped into that consciousness. So it took, say, society, or not society, it took consciousness. Okay, that consciousness that Christ tapped into 2022 years ago, it took it 2022 years for it to come down into this reality. So basically, everybody will be living in that Christ consciousness, so to speak. Hence the truth. Okay. And that's what's really happening. So it's not anything of the past, although it might feel similar, if that makes sense to you. So again, Christ will not be coming back, but the consciousness will be coming back. And there are people, pioneers, and so on like that, that will be tapped into that consciousness, that new consciousness. And that's what many of you are feeling. How many of you are looking around in the world, and people are going, shit, I don't know what's going on, but I feel very, very different, right? So this talk isn't about sexual energy. It is. We're just coming to that. Okay. That's just one of the questions on there. So the key is, again, that consciousness is coming through, that high level consciousness, and everybody is subject to what, say, Christ not invented, but again, connected to thousands of years ago. All right. So you need to escape the matrix. This is again commenting on, what's his name, Andrew Tate, right? You'll start to see a lot of fake individuals. If you just look up Andrew Tate, he was a very his YouTube channels grew. He had a lot of great following and so on like that. I don't know, millions of subscribers just overnight. It's kind of crazy how that works, right? But then he's into sex trafficking, misogyny, abusing young women, and so on. I don't know if that's true or not, because the internet, you can't believe everything. But there's enough news stories and so on like that that say Andrew Tate. It's not the best, but again, those types of individuals, by the way, will come forth and they'll become very, very popular. And the reason for that, and that's why I brought that up, you need to escape the matrix because the matrix is going to be crumbling. That's the key. The matrix is going to be crumbling. The matrix that you know of is going to be crumbling into a whole different scenario. That is the past. That's like major detox for the universe. The new consciousness or the new universe of this reality will be showing up for you. Okay, it's going to be a new matrix. If you're on the old matrix, by the way, and this is the true definition because you're going to hear more and more about the Matrix. There's going to be tons of videos about the Matrix and what they talk about, in the movie, even called The Matrix and so on. They almost got that right, but again, not just quite. So it's a new consciousness that's coming through, and it's going to be, again, dwarfing or removing the old consciousness. Okay. So that's why you need to escape the matrix. But if you look at, or if you're a YouTuber and you look up escaping the matrix and all that stuff, you get to see all these people talking about escaping the matrix, and they're not fucking escaping the matrix. Just like Andrew Tate, he calls himself, what's his name? That guy from the Matrix, right? Morpheus. He calls himself Morpheus. And which is bullshit. He's abusing women. He's using women. That's not the new Matrix. You're not escaping it. That's bullshit. So again, you, by the way, your truth mechanisms will come through, will come up, and you'll see what's truth and what's not. Not depending on scientific study says this and so says this because they have an expert. They've got I don't know a degree in Harvard, whatever. You're not going to be doing that. You're going to be resonating with truth deep inside you. That's part of the new matrix, and that's what, again, the Jesus or the Christ frequencies, again, outside the religion. So Christianity, by the way, I just want to get this across. Catholic Christianity, you guys weren't accurate. You guys weren't true. It's not your savior or your definition of your savior coming through. Okay, because Jesus frequency and the religion is two very different frequencies. No offense, but that's just the way it is. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to how sexual energy can elevate or destroy your consciousness. And again, let's take a deep breath in. And I already talked about that last question, entering the age of Matt. Again, deities and so on like that are the past coming forward. So talking about that. So that's all done. So we save the best for the last. How sexual energy can elevate or destroy your consciousness. Okay. So take a deep breath in. And the reason why I saved this question for the last, because I'll take you into a deep state meditation called a hyper meditation that'll actually help you feel what that sexual energy is really about. Okay, and how it can destroy you or how it can enhance you. Okay, take a breath in. Just notice your sexual parts. If you're a woman, notice your sexual parts. If you're a man, notice your sexual identity. It's interesting though. Most of you will go through, your breasts or the groin area and so on like that. But sexual energy and sexual divinity and so on like that actually exist in the brain. So many of you went through again that sexual identity, right? Again, so notice your sexual parts, right? If you're a man or a woman, anything in between, and then also notice the part within your brain. It's kind of like right between your ears in the back, okay, inside your brain. So most individuals, again, use sex or sexual energy in the wrong way, and I'll talk about that. Can you talk about sexual energy? Perfect timing? Yes, of course. Take a breath in again. So we'll bring in the real sexual energy, or the divine sexual energy, what that's about. So most people use sex for their identities, or to control people, or to diminish or demise people. Okay. Andrew Tate, for example, destroying women because he's very insecure. Okay. I'm just reading him, by the way. So again, and most people do that. Most offenders, like Harvey Weinstein and so on, like that, will destroy women, not because they enjoy the sex, but it's domineering. Okay, so in this reality, especially here, unfortunately, in this world, in this point of time, sexual energy has come to a frequency of control and dominance. Okay, so most people, again, and this is where some of the dating, I don't know the dating, the dating apps or anything like that, but all those dating apps are designed to control or destroy your sexual frequency. Okay, because more and more as the world changes, people are going to be losing control of themselves. So men and people, and you might go, well, men are going to be, controlling women more. Absolutely. The flip side will occur as well. Women are going to be using or withholding sex or controlling sex or seducing men or whatever it is, in the wrong form as well. Okay. So both men and women are going to be using, say, sexual energy in the wrong way. And this is where your sexual energy will not only destroy, thank you, Tender and, those type of sites, not only using that type of, say, sexual energy to use and destroy, uh, the other individual for you, even if you think that you're not, it'll also destroy you as well, more rapidly than you destroying your partner, for example. Okay, so this is a lot of women are dating, say, multiple people. That was just, say, held for the young, for the males, right? That was a male thing. That's a man thing to do. But nowadays, a lot of women are doing the same thing. Okay, it's like, well, if men can do it, why can't women? Well, men did it for the wrong reason. They were fucked up. So now women are fucking up as well. Simple as that. So neither one of you, again, men, women, or anything in between, are correct. Okay? You're using your sexual energy or your sexual dominance to destroy yourself, by the way. Okay, let's take a deep breath in. There's a lot of, say, issues with marriage or coming as a partner, right? A lot of you, especially women, just because you want to date that person, what do? You have sex with that person, thinking that, well, if I have sex with that person, then they're going to stay with me. How many women have done that, right? Or how many men have done that as well, right? Because the woman wanted sex. So again, the reason being is that you were very insecure, and the only way that you could have or a relationship is by giving yourself. You didn't really fall in love, or you didn't really, say, complete yourself, or that person didn't complete you. You just wanted to have a fucking relationship, and you'll do anything, right? Guys do that all the time, right? They marry a beautiful woman, they become really really wealthy, and and they marry somebody that's arm candy, somebody that looks super hot, but they can't get along with them, right? And the sex is even bad, right? They look super hot, if that makes sense to you. And then the sex is terrible. The flip side happens as well. A lot of successful women, they will marry a hunk. And I get these women. They'll marry somebody they will marry somebody that's a hunk or looks good and all that, right? Because their identity, especially when they became successful, had no meaning to them because they did success wrong. That's another subject, by the way. So what do? They'll hang on, or they'll latch on to that hunk, and it destroys their sexual energy. And by the way, those types of women, they turn into men, and they usually, those women that do that. Okay, the opposite of what men do, like arm candy, right? What happens is that those women have more testosterone and they become more masculine than that hunk that they're dating. So that hunk that they're dating might be really muscular and, really, you know they look and play the part, but on the inside, I see my clients all the time, over and over and over again. It's like, shit, you know they're a pussy. So Again, I see that all the time. The same thing happens on the flip side with, say, men with arm candy on their hands. Because over time, again, especially women age, right? They look different. With XI, obviously, you can slow that down. So that destroys you as well. In cultures, right? Women are supposed to be, say, for security. Okay. You're ingrained to have security. So you bypass, say, the energy or true love. Okay. And you start to marry for security. Well, when you have sex and especially when you have kids, this one, Tiki Smith, I married the wrong person. No worries, I did too in the beginning. And again, I'm talking from experience, by the way, guys. Okay, I went through all that stuff, right? I married for the wrong reason, and so on. Many of you married for the wrong reason. So when you have sex, it destroys you, right? So, so that's how, say, sexual energy, say, can destroy your consciousness. Get it? It'll again drop you down and tear you apart. In a nutshell, on that aspect, on how it destroys you, is because when you use sex, or one last example by that way, say that you got sexually abused, say you got traumatized, okay, and that's the only time that you are acknowledged to be of somebody, okay. Otherwise, you didn't get any attention. Okay. The human desire to have attention and not be alone is so powerful that once that is ingrained in you, okay, you will seek abusive sexual relationships because that's the only way you got attention. Unfortunately, again, all that can be cleared out so you can come into you can come into your higher divinity and understand sex at a different frequency. So, how can, say, sexual energy, say, create consciousness? Oh, and by the way, uh, many religions have you abstain from sex because, in its truest form, when two individuals who are pure, okay, they have the purest intent for themselves, they love each other, they have that sexual energy, they have that intimacy. What happens is that they combine and literally create, say, a power that goes beyond their physical presence that they can. So it literally like a rocket booster that rockets them up to a higher level of consciousness. And then when they're done with the act, that residue, okay, when they separate, what happens is that you're not mangled in with each other. No, that's the wrong way. Again, your that destroys your, say, consciousness. Okay. Most individuals, again, they feel, basically most individuals, what happens is that they feel incomplete, right? That other person completes them. So when they have sex, boom, they get mangled together. When they pull away, they feel really bad, right? Or they feel distorted, even if the sex is hot. Okay. Even if the sex is hot, what happens is that you pulled in that other person's frequency to complete you. You did not complete yourself. So it's like getting a transfusion, a blood transfusion, but with the wrong blood type. This is just a different frequency transfusion for you, and it destroys you. So how do you do it the other way, right? You find an individual, step one, and we did some relationship talks, 13 ways. The 13 ways, if the team can put that up on the comment for those who are new, the 13 ways is really good. It helps you understand dating and so on like that. But when the first step for you to use sexual energy to elevate consciousness is one, to be a complete individual on your own. And this isn't just with sex. This is about, yeah, this isn't just with sex. This is about career. This is about making money. This is about health. This is about, say, spirituality or connecting to a higher form, if you'd like. Um, um, but again, you define who you are. Okay. You define who you are. You have most of your pieces. Say that you need 10 pieces to be a complete person. You have, say, seven or more pieces of yourself complete. Okay. And then you find somebody that's more congruent. They have seven or more pieces together. Okay. Of themselves. Okay. When you come together, you fall in love for the right reason. Okay, and the right reason is not because they're not because they're beautiful and all that. That's a part of it, but the deeper reason is that they literally complete you. Okay, that's where real completeness comes in. They don't complete you by filling in your missing pieces, but they're an elevated space. When you two get together, they complete you by you realizing the weaknesses that you have, and because you say acknowledge them and love them in the purest sense of who they are, right? You start to see the weaknesses in you. And as you start to see the weaknesses in you, you have a safe environment to work on, say, the weaknesses that you, in most cases or in most relationships, try to hide. In this scenario, if there's a loving surrounding space, right, environment, you become vulnerable. As you become vulnerable, again, you start to see the weaknesses that you have. And as you start to see the weaknesses that you have, there is no judgment by that other person. And as there is no judgment, it allows you to enhance or again turn those weaknesses into massive opportunities for strength. And you can do that again by the 18 days. Okay, that's somebody Allie's talking about. So when that happens, you find more and more of yourself. So when you two come together, intimate, and you integrate again, both physically, and then what happens is frequency wise, spiritually. Okay, your spirits literally combine and mesh together, but it is like water and oil mixed together. You stir, right? You pour water and oil, you stir it. Okay, and that stirring, that integration, or that exhilaration of being stirred and like being in a component. Okay, being a mixed component for that while or to orgasm and so on like that will come together. But when it's done, you start to separate oil and water again, and then you start to define who you really are. You start to see, as you separate, you start to see the weaknesses, the shortcomings, and so on of who you are, and you start to push it away. The other person does the same thing. And then when that happens, okay, when that happens, that partner of yours finds who that partner of yours is defining and helping. That partner of yours is helping you define who you are, and that's your ultimate goal. And when somebody can define and alter who you are to a higher version of who you are, you'll fall in love with them. That makes sense to you, and you'll be soulmates forever, basically. Okay, and as that happens, you get higher and higher. Okay, they help you go higher, you help them go higher, so on and so on. So you're not integrating, you're actually creating more separatism of yourself. But because they're the proponent that helped you define yourself to higher levels, what happens? You'll stay stuck together for the right reason. And that's where sexual energy defines you. And this is where you can get into, say, expansive realities together. This is where you can get into, say, altered states of identity. This is where sexual pleasure is not physical. Okay. It becomes a more, say, conscious level. It say it reacts, it enhances the brain chemicals for you. All the other ways of sexual activities and so on like that destroy brain chemicals. Okay, that's why you need more and more, and some of you might get even addicted to sex because again you've drained your brain chemicals for that. How many of you have done that, gotten addicted to sex, and it gets abusive and abusive like that, right? So in this case, it enhances. And then all the bullshit that, over 2 years or over 3 years, sexual energy chemicals, deplete. And that's why relationships and so on of sexual energy get depleted. That's not the case. Um, in real relationships that I talk about, usually it's just like a one-on-one type. This concept of, say, having multiple partners and so on like that, again, they start to fade away. The reason why you have multiple partners and so on is, well, because one person is not providing all those things that you need. Right. So as you go higher and higher, again, you tend to stay with one partner because of efficiency. The key is, though, take a deep breath in. Um, Take a deep breath in. The key is that when you have physical energy or physical sex like that in the proper way, your brain chemicals, your youthfulness, your vibrancy, it's like falling in love every day with that person. But in reality, you're falling in love with your own self because it's a new version that gets better and better and better. But as you fall in love with yourself more and more, that person that has allowed you to do that, well, you'll fall in love with them as well. Does that make sense? So that's how you can use, again, sexual energy to either elevate you or to say destroy you. You want to do it the right way. So porn will have negative effects. Yes, absolutely. Porn will have negative effects. Most people use porn not to enhance. And again, there's nothing wrong with porn if you do it right. But again, most people do porn the wrong way. They want to destroy women. Two, they're possessed or they're addictive. They're addicted to sex. And basically, when people, do porn, especially extremely, what happens is that you're abusing yourself. There's an abusive pattern within you. So it's not even about sex. It's about getting off, right? It's about forcing yourself to basically rape your own self. That's what the, addictions with porn is, men or women, by the way. Literally, it's about a consciousness that is there that dictates or pushes you around and tells you, since there's nobody around to abuse you sexually or rape you sexually, you rape yourself. So there's nothing wrong with, say, self pleasure, but in that scenario, you're abusing or raping yourself. Self pleasure, again, there's nothing wrong with it if you do it the proper way. All right. All right. So, um, all righty. So let's move on to the second half. What is porn the right way? I explained it. Again, porn is really used, not weird porn, not extreme porn with abusive and things of that nature, but porn. It allows, two people who are in love to actually, kind of create some synergy, kind of create that fire, that spark, and so on like that properly. Yeah. So, all right. So let's move on. Uh, um, I know there's lots of kids watching this show. Well, that's good. It's fantastic. Now you kids know and understand what sex is really about. So as you grow younger, or as you grow into, your teenage years and so on like that, don't follow the trends, kids. Uh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you just put that in the chat for me, so I can reread it? Yeah, or put it in. Okay. Okay. So let me just get back. So for kids, again, that have been here or have been listening in, some of your parents might have closed your ears about this and all that stuff. But again, it's really great for you to understand it. So you're not going to fall into the group of, oh yeah, just have sex, it's great, and oh yeah, just destroy yourself, especially with women or young girls, right? Um, showing off their bodies and so on. If it doesn't feel right, ladies, girls, or even guys, don't do it. Don't do it because you're destroying your own presence. You're destroying your own self. Okay. Just wait for that right person for you. Because if it's the wrong person, it'll put you down in a downward cycle. All right. Let's get back. There was that one. There's that one person with that kid. I can't see the stream. So can you put it in the live chat on Rendezvous? Just copy and paste it. Or yeah, or Telegram. That's cool too. Yeah. So I wanted to get back to this. Just give me one second, guys. So what I'll just read the disclaimer, by the way. So if I scan you guys, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professional in any way. So I'm just telling you what I see. I could be way off. Again, I could be way, way off on that. I'm just telling you what I see. So what you would have to do again is seek professional advice. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, not a medical doctor. I don't diagnose or heal. I can scan your frequency signature and tell you what I see. Please consult your doctor for professional advice. If you ask to be scanned today, you're agreeing that we may use your session on any public media to help inspire others. So remember, if you don't want us to share your session, don't ask to be scanned. You can do a private session with me. And then all contents are protected by copyright, so you may not use any of this content without our written permission. All right. All right. So um, let's see. Can't really read it. Just give me 1 second. So the screenshot was Hi Moss. I'm 15 years old. I've been seeing spirits in my room and in my house. Also, dog spirit. Can you scan me and work on me, please? Absolutely. So take a breath in. So yes. So what's happening for you is that when I see you, what's happening is that um, one, your mother is really, let's just say, not the most stable person. She's very fearful of a lot of things. Okay, so there's a lot of superstition in your family. That superstition is allowed, say, open portals, basically. And you have a gift of seeing other realities or those portals open for you. And that's why you're seeing a lot of spirits. Okay. Second half is that when I see your house or that neighborhood that you live in, if you check the history on it, it was probably like a grave site or something very similar. So there's either mass death or again graves within that area, which distorts because people don't die properly. Okay, it's not that death is weird or death is dark. People don't die properly. So just like hospitals, when people die in hospitals, what happens is they tend to stay in that space or wherever they felt comfortable. So there's a lot of death in that space around you. Again, you have fantastic abilities, and for kids and those adults nowadays, right, who had fantastic abilities, you might have gotten messed up because you didn't know what to do with them. So again, start to for you, I would suggest doing the 18-day meditations. By the way, it'd be really good for you. It'll help you stabilize yourself. It'll help you stay uh, in the reality because going into and seeing other realities and possibilities or astral travel or again this is how great inventors find great ideas and so on. They go into other realities, but the key is that you don't want to get messed up. You want to come back into this reality. So what I was doing for you is like locking you into this reality, and then you can see it's like, oh, that the thing that I'm seeing is outside of me. So you're not entertaining or you're not allowing them to enter into you. Okay. So nice job. This one, Justina Rude. Is it Justina Rude? Hi, Moss. Can you please scan me? Thank you. Yes. So Justine, it just seems like, I don't know if you're new to XI or you might have been here for a while, but anyway, there's been a great awakening or the great realization coming up in you. Okay. So there's a lot of realizations or a lot of possibilities that kind of have been closed down or shut down for you. You kind of ran the life of, you wanted to do something, but then you were always shut down. Okay. Time after time after time after time again. And then that pattern has, say, existed in you. And then opportunities will show up for you, but then they always get shut down. Even if nobody else is shutting them down for you, you will shut them down. So now you're starting to see again those possibilities, and you're actually starting to say access those possibilities for yourself, which is really good. So some of the things that you missed out on, Justine, is it Justina, you will start to say recreate, especially again if you continue with XI. Okay, which is really fantastic. So again, nice job. So what I was doing for you, Justina, is pushing you forward. So you're going to get into situations or ideas or experiences that you missed out in your yesteryear, you're going to get back into them. So when that happens, take it this time around. Okay. I can't do that part for you. All right. All right. This one, Svetlana Dragid. Can you scan my sexual energy, please? Yes. So back in the day, you were basically a pleaser, if that makes sense to you. You just did. You just did what. You just did what. Say you just did what your husband or your boyfriends needed from you. Okay. You didn't know any other way to say please people. So, and this isn't just about sex. This is about everything, So you basically you lose yourself for that other person. Whatever, say that other person needs for you, from you, you will provide. That's why I call you a pleaser. You will morph into that. So sex is that same way. You don't get it, or you used to not get any, say, pleasure, so to speak, from sex because you would feel drained after, or you might have gotten pleasure because you've actually, have attention on you, but then later on, it wouldn't feel right. Now you're starting to see yourself from a very, very different frequency. Right? You're starting to say acknowledge yourself. You're starting to go inwards. You're starting to love yourself. You're starting to be more particular, so to speak. Right? Um, which is really good. So that's where your sexual energy is about. So this is with from Bree. So basically, or a partner or money or anything else will allow you to enhance who you are. Okay, not define who you are, and that's really key. Mrs. Marithia Rose, any negative consequences to having sex with vaxxed partners? It depends on you, literally. And again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but from what I see, the shedding effect, right? So if your partner is not, say, completely congruent for you, the vaccine will actually magnify that incongruency for you. So if you're not with the right partner, what'll most likely happen is that you'll start to see, or you start, especially if you're doing XI and you have a vax partner and they're not in congruence with you, that will magnify for you, and you'll probably break up faster because again, it's not beneficial. Or they will say adapt to, say, a new version of a new version of themselves because they have to match your standards. Okay. Um, Swinny Bon, hi Moss. I feel Yvonne Hymos, I feel like I lost my intelligence and smartness after my father's death. He was a very smart person. I felt lost a bit. I can't concentrate and focus. Can I get that back? Yes. So with you, Ivana, so let's take a deep breath in. So basically, your identity was wrapped around your father, right? So what you would do is you would literally channel your father's intelligence and then spit it back into the world, right? So you just don't know how to do that on your own. So this is what's wrong with channeling. And again, you can either channel an entity or a spirit or a guide or anything, or you can channel somebody, say, that you admired his intelligence. And the reason why you went toward your father is because your mom, in your case scenario, so to speak, your mom wasn't the most, say, stable individual, or say the brightest individual, right? A lot of issues and so on like that. So basically, what you did, Yvonne, is like, well, shit, I'm going to gravitate towards dad. But unfortunately, when I read you, what happens is you have this masculine energy or persona around you as well, because again, you're identifying with your, not just your dad's intelligence, but again, the way a man would think. Now, there's nothing wrong with, say, smartness of a woman. Can a woman have that? Absolutely. But what you've done is you've latched on, or you've pulled that identity of your father, including his intelligence and including his, say, the man, okay, the male version of smartness into you. And that's why the more you would use that. So what happens is that your, say, life source, basically, when he passed, you basically passed or disconnected. You have no clue of who you are because you've identified with your father. So, so take a deep breath in. Let's help your father, say, cross over properly. And then for you, you'll feel lost a little bit, but then that intelligence will become Yvonne's version of that intelligence or that smartness, not your dad's version. And that's what's really about. Same thing with, say, eye color and your physical shape and so on like that. Right? You don't want your mom and dad's version. You want your version. So, right? This is Oihana. Would you scan my field if there is any other energies than me occupying it? So in the past, that might have been true, right? Now you've done more of XI, exponential intelligence. So with that, what happens is that, say, the energies or frequencies that you were used to, you're comfortable being part of you, okay, is leaving you. So although it might feel the same, notice the direction for you. Okay, the direction again is outwards. So all the things that you believed in, all the seances, or I don't know, group meditations or whatever that you got into, again, all those most likely, guys, and again, be careful if you're doing ayahuasca and all those patterns. I'm not saying you did, but I'm saying those people who are thinking of doing ayahuasca and so on. If you're an empath, especially, or if you're open, and even if you're not, you're basically allowing, or you're inviting other spirits, and it feels euphoric for a bit. But then again, it's not a good thing. You start to lose yourself. You start to lose your identity. So what you've done with XI, and again, nice job, is you are cleaning up. So you're removing all those, say, identities and so on like that out of you. Okay. Just one, maybe two more. Never dated in my life. Any insight? This is Veritas. So what happens is that, for you, I could be wrong, but it's almost like you were left alone, or you were very, very lonely, or you were left alone when you were a young child. I feel you like being hidden in a closet or hiding in a closet. And it could be a physical feature, but when you're hanging out with people, the reason why you say hide is because if you interact with people, basically they would just suck the life out of you, and it would feel like death to you. Okay, that makes sense to you. So this is why you've never dated, because when you get too close to somebody, you literally lose your identity. They literally will pull your identity out of you, no matter how benevolent they are, because that's the pattern that you're running. So again, so what's happening, what we can do now is take a deep breath in, just notice your chest, your heart. So you have to have a definition of who you are. Okay. And as you define that, say like you're a full glass, right? You're an empty glass right now. You hang out with somebody, they pour their presence into your empty glass, and then you lose yourself and you feel like death. Okay. So what'll happen, by the way, if you are a full glass, well, nobody can pour more stuff into you. Does that make sense? So that's what you need to do. And again, the 18 days coming up. By the way, this month, we're not doing the 18 days, but Zach and Emmy are. Okay. Their 18 days starts on the 10th, by the way. January 10th through the 31st. Actually, it's 21 days. Every morning at 8:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for you. I think it's 11:45 Central Time. Okay. It's on love and awareness. So again, for those wondering, it's like, hey, you know what? Moss isn't doing any 18 days today. Where can I go? What can I do? Zach and Emmy, they're my daughter and son. Again, I can watch. They're the two that I can really trust. To help you guys out, because I can watch over them and edit them, because they're close to me. So again, if you're interested in that, if the team can put their information on, that'd be fantastic if you can do that. Again, that's starting January 10th for you. So if anybody have worked with Zach and Emmy, please comment in on how great they are, by the way. There, thanks, guys. All right. What is the link for Zach? You could either go to Zach's page or Emmy's page. They do. Yep. Okay. So either way, guys, you'll get both, because they switch days, which is really cool. Emmy is a nurturing frequency, and Zach is like coming into your own, say, greatness. Okay. Which is really cool. All right. So this last one, illuminated days. Hey, Mouse, can you scan me, please? Yes. And then the next one. Oops. This is Zaid Baba. Cool name, by the way. So illuminated days. We'll get to that one, and then we'll take Zaid Baba. Bubha, and then we'll end it for today. Kind of went over. That's okay. So, hey, Moss, could you scan me, please? So, the illuminated days. So, basically, you try to escape your body. You're used to say escape your identity. Okay. So what that means is that you were here and then you were escaping, say your environment or your family patterns and so on, or again, your family. You might have even left home early, but the key is that you're escaping yourself. The reason why you escape yourself is because in your body you feel scared. That could have come from, say, trauma or sexual trauma, from what I'm seeing for you. So basically, when people, especially younger individuals who go through, say, some sort of trauma or sexual trauma, what happens is that you escape your body and then you never came back into it. So that pattern of escaping your body, you're escaping your identity, is always there. So what I was doing for you, and again, whatever you've done with XI, you're starting to realize that there's almost like two realities that you exist in, right? Um, and so I'm just going to put you back into, really put you back into, because you've done enough work where you're strong enough where I can put you back in, and you're strong enough to look back and see what actually happened to you. Because from what I'm seeing as well, you don't remember your past that well, or it's sketchy, or you redrew it, right, according to your standards, not what really happened. So again, you're strong enough now to go back in time and heal that younger version of yourself. So what will happen for you, Eliminated Days, as you take a deep breath in, is literally that's what will happen. You'll see a younger version of yourself. So it's time for you to, again, reparent yourself or love yourself. All right. And then that's where you feel whole. And then that way you don't never have to escape. Okay. And once you don't escape, you're in the present moment. And this is where you feel really good about things that you have around you. This one, Zaid Babha, as an inventor, can XI take me to other realities and come back like Elon? Absolutely. And that's what we teach at the higher levels, CEO level, um, icons. Right. So if you're interested in that, and the way we do it right. Elon is not doing it right. Okay. Tesla, uh, Nikola Tesla, is not didn't do it right. That's why as he aged, he was really messed up. Okay. He was out of, or distorted, or disoriented. A lot of those great inventors, do you see that they become distorted, disoriented? They're not very good socially. Elon is getting to be that way, by the way, right? So he's not doing right. I can actually help Elon if anybody knows. I know it sounds crazy, but there's a lot of people at his level, basically, of wealth and success that come to me. Okay, so if anybody knows Elon, just say, hey, this crazy guy Moss, you think he can actually help you? Because as he ages, what happens with Elon is, as he ages, Elon, basically what happens is he goes into, say, 12 different realities, and like one's Tesla, one's SpaceX, one's the digging, one's this, and one's that, right? Or PayPal and so on, like that. But over time, when you're younger, you're vibrant, you can go into that reality and then come back and center yourself. And this is where, on some interviews, or if you work with Elon, you can see his brain go, okay, where is Tesla information? Where's the reality of the Tesla? Here. And he literally is like the old operator, on the telephones, where basically, you call the operator and it's like you say, hey, I want to call so and so number, and they unplug you and they plug you into that number, right? And that's how you connect. Basically, Elon is using, although he's advanced, Elon is using, say, old technology. It's literally like those operators back in the day. What he does is like literally, oh, you're asking me a SpaceX question. Oh, let me unplug out of that consciousness and plug into that consciousness. So that's how Elon does it. Again, it's archaic, although it's very advanced in today's society. But in compared to what you could be, you could expand into those technologies. And yes, I've helped people or inventors expand into those parts or aspects of realities and then pull back in and expand themselves so they feel really good about themselves. They feel more complete and not as disconnected. So yes, I can definitely do that. If you guys are interested in that, do they contact customers, Feifei, for that? You can contact customers for the elite, say, elite training or elite CEO level. Even if you're not a CEO, you want to get into that. If you want to get into that, okay. We just don't advertise it because we've got too many people already. All right. So again, As we end, guys, hopefully this explained a lot of, say, life situations that you were wondering about. I think next week, almost on Sunday, we are going to be doing live scans, if I'm correct. Is that what we're doing, babe? Okay. Oh, I can't do it next Sunday. The Sunday after, we'll be doing live scans for you. Okay, the Sunday after. Next week, I think it's a topic that I'll be choosing. So if you have a topic that you want me to discuss, again, contact us or comment in here. Actually, comment in here, and then our team will pull it because we get flooded with a lot of access. All right, guys. Again, like this channel if you liked it, and then also subscribe to the channel and tell your friends about it so we can transform the world. All right. As we end, guys, notice what you notice and then notice the details of what you're noticing. All right. Peace.